Today I'm going to show you guys how to make my guacamole greens, cilantro, lime, jalapeno vinaigrette. I love this with this guacamole green salad, but it's a great vinaigrette. It's got cilantro, lime, and jalapeno. So I'm making my guacamole greens tonight, and the reason is I make this at the same time that I make my marinade, which I showed you guys all yesterday how to do, because I use a lot of the same ingredients. I need jalapenos for both, I need limes for both, and I need cilantro for both. So anyway, so I make them at the same time because it's just easy. So we're gonna start off with a 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro, tender leaves and stems. So I just took a head of cilantro and chopped off the stems and most of the stems. And then you see I've got left kind of just the greens with a little bit of stem. So you don't have to chop this because it's going all into a Vitamix. So I'm putting all these ingredients into a Vitamix. And I'm gonna move this so I can do some chopping in front of you. So I'm gonna just pack it in here. This is pretty good, and I'm gonna need cilantro for the marinade as well as for the salad, so I washed up a bunch, but that's a 1/4 cup packed, okay? Use more if you really love cilantro. I'm gonna put that to the side. The next thing I'm gonna need is half of a jalapeno pepper. Now again, I don't find these spicy for my family, at least the ones we get. So I do a whole jalapeno pepper. I like it. But what is spicy about a jalapeno pepper is, see the seeds? The seeds are where all the spice is, and the ribs. So sometimes you want to just cut those ribs out. And I'll also advise you with cutting a jalapeno. Some people are really sensitive to it and need to wear gloves. So you do you know, like I don't have an issue. After I do this, I tend to go wash my hands right away and don't touch your eyes. So it's common sense, but you know, anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna mince this because I mince this when I make the marinade because it's going in, but it's gonna get chopped up a little bit in the Vitamix. So I'm just going to cut this. I'm just gonna cut these into small pieces, I'll say that. And these are just gonna be finely chopped. You don't have to go crazy on this because I am gonna puree this in the Vitamix. If you don't have a super high speed blender, then you probably wanna mince these. Which I show you in my video where I'm making the marinade. So this looks good to me. Okay, now that I've kind of finely chopped these, I'm gonna take my handy dandy scraper and put them in the Vitamix. So right now I have the cilantro in there and the jalapeno. Next, I'm gonna add 1 medium-sized garlic clove, peeled. And then I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lime juice. That roughly came from 2 limes. So 2 limes typically gives you a 1/4 cup. But again, all limes vary in size. So you may have to take 3. It just depends. I always get extras because I use them in water or whatever. You will find a use for some extra limes. So I did that. And then I'm gonna need a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin. The ground cumin is also in the marinade. And then I'm gonna need a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. There we go, a teaspoon of that. And then I'm gonna need 2 teaspoons of white wine vinegar. It's white wine vinegar, so it'd help if I take off the cap. Just 2 teaspoons of this. This actually gives a little bit of a punch to the flavor of the dressing. So I like the little kick it gives, so I always put that in. And then I need a spatula. I'm going to put in a 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil. So just do that. Make sure you get all the goodness in here. And last but not least, you can't forget the pepper. With pepper, I tend to add, I like a lot of flavor the pepper gives. So, you know, it says a 1/4 teaspoon, try that. But I tend to add like at least, 12 to 15 twists. I kind of know the way I like it. And sometimes I add more if I feel like it needs it. So now I'm going to take this, put it on the Vitamix, and I'm gonna puree it slowly. So I'm gonna start off slowly to make sure that everything gets incorporated, and then I'm gonna do it high speed so it gets really green in color. You'll see when I come back. I got it off the Vitamix, and I'm going to make sure that it tastes good. So what I'm gonna do first is the best way to taste a salad dressing is to dip a lettuce leaf in, because this is what you're gonna be eating it on, right? Perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically pour it into a mason jar, and you're gonna use a spatula. It's really green and vibrant. And as this sits, if you were making it ahead for, maybe tomorrow, it may not look as vibrant green. It'll still taste good, but that's why I make this a day of a lot of times when I make the marinade, because the marinade needs to be made 1/2 hour to 2 hours ahead, whatever you have time for. But you make this at the same time. It uses the same ingredients and everything. So it's perfect. But anyway, so there you go. I'm gonna put a little cap on this. And before you use it, you're just gonna give it a good, either really good shake. Look at how green that is. Or you're just gonna take a whisk and really whisk it well, because the vinegar and the olive oil and the acid of the lime juice need to incorporate. So you really gotta give it a really good shake. There it is, my cilantro lime jalapeno vinaigrette. It's a wordful, but it's so good. And look how green that is. This is great on my guacamole green salad, but it also tastes great on any kind of salad. This would even be great over grilled chicken, whatever you want to do. It's just packed with a little bit of a punch and a kick, and it's so yummy. So I hope you guys make it, and I hope you guys like it, and yay.